What if I told you that a child is born a creative genius, but something is smothering that creative spark as they grow older? Stay till the end to find out. Hey, friend, and welcome. I am Anya Garcia, and I am passionate about helping parents leverage untapped potential of the absorbent mind. Today, we're diving deep into how we can unlock that genius level of creativity our little ones are born with. And trust me, it is easier than you think. You know how kids can turn a cardboard box into literally anything? One minute it's a pirate ship, the next it's a race car, and by the end of the day, it's a mansion for their stuffed animals. That's not just imagination, that is pure creative genius at work. But somewhere along the way, something smothers that inner flame of innovation and curiosity. It is like watching a campfire fizzle out when you run out of marshmallows. Heartbreaking, right? And guess what? Science backs it up. Dr. George Land and Dr. Beth Jarman conducted a groundbreaking study in the 1960s that was initially commissioned by NASA. The goal? To identify creative geniuses who could come up with innovative solutions for the complex problems NASA was facing. To do this, they developed a unique test that measured creative potential, specifically divergent thinking, the ability to look at problems and come up with multiple solutions. But instead of just testing engineers and scientists, they became curious about how creativity develops. So they decided to test children. And they started with 1,600 of them between the ages of 4 and 5. You know, that magical age when a couch cushion becomes a castle and every scribble is a masterpiece? So, scientists wanted to see just how creative these kids were and to see how many would score at creative genius levels using that NASA developed test. Okay, are you ready for this? 98% of those kids scored at genius level for creative thinking. 98%. It was an astonishingly high number. So they decided to keep on testing the same group of kids as they grew older. And they did for 10 years, trying to track their creative abilities over time. But here is where it gets a little sad. As these kids got older, that genius level dropped fast. By the time these kids were in grade school, only 30% were still considered creative geniuses. By high school, a dismal 12%. And when they started testing adults, any guesses here? Less than 2%. 2%. It was so depressing that the researchers just stopped testing altogether. Hey, I don't blame them. So, what is going on here? Are we born creative or do we lose it along the way? Well, according to the study, we all start out as divergent thinkers with imagination, creativity, and inquisitive minds. That is the kind of thinking where your mind runs wild, generating new ideas, imagining endless possibilities. You know, like when your kid turns the living room into a zoo and then charges you $5 to visit the stuffed animals. But over time, something starts to smother that spark. And a big part of that something is the type of thinking we're taught to use as we grow up. Well, you know how we love telling our kids to think carefully and make smart choices. You see, we've got them doing convergent and divergent thinking at the same time. And it is messing with their brains. You see, divergent thinking is where all the fun happens, imagining, brainstorming, innovating, and dreaming up wild new ideas. It is that free-flowing creative thought process where ideas pop up like fireworks. Think of it as brainstorming on steroids. No limits, just pure exploration. It is the reason your toddler insists that spaghetti noodles are worms or that his dog is secretly a superhero. Convergent thinking, on the other hand, is where you apply knowledge, judge, and make decisions. It is the logical side of the brain that is focused on solving problems, picking the right answer, and crossing off to-do lists. It is like being a judge on America's Got Talent. You have to critique and evaluate. The problem is when we teach our children to use both kinds of thinking, divergent and convergent, at the same time, it creates a battle in their brains. The neurons get all confused, and instead of firing on all cylinders, it's like they're stuck in traffic. It is like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You're not going to go far. Or let's say trying to juggle and fold laundry at the same time. No wonder their creative brains just stall. So, can we attribute this rapid decline in creativity as we grow older to traditional education systems, societal pressures, environmental factors? Are they to blame for stifling the natural creativity we're all born with? Well, Dr. George Land thinks so. He said in his famous 2011 TEDx talk, "We are being systematically dumbed down." Well, his study proves this harsh truth. The natural, inherent creative potential we're born with is not simply lost. It is squashed as we grow older.
To be creative or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler to kindle the flames of imagination or bear the burden of systematic dumbing down. How does that sound? Any Shakespearean fans?
Now, before jumping into how we can fix it, if you have learned something new so far, give this video a thumbs up. And if you learned 2 new things today, subscribe to my channel because I love teaching and serving. And this is a free way that you can support me to continue to do just that. Okay, back to good news. We can fix this. So don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. We can totally revive our kids' creativity. It just takes a little space and a lot less pressure to get it right. Think about it. How often do you just let your kid be? Like truly let them explore without hovering. No judgment. I've been guilty of swooping in a little too quickly myself. But when we let them get their hands dirty, figure stuff out, and fail a few times, kids learn and thrive. Because you see, children learn best when they are doing, not when we are showing them how to do it the right way. You know, I remember this one time when my son Adrian built a robot out of toilet paper rolls and duct tape. It looked more like a loop-sided trash can than anything remotely robotic, but he was so proud. So instead of telling him the obvious that it wouldn't actually move, I asked him, "What is your robot's superpower?" Adrian spent the next half an hour telling me all about its imaginary adventures. That's creativity in action, friend. Now, before you panic, the good news is that we can nurture divergent thinking in our kids because creativity isn't a lost cause. It's more like a garden. You just have to give it the right kind of care and maybe a little fertilizer. And here are some ways to keep that creativity spark alive. 1, encourage real experiences. Let them roll their sleeves and do the doing, embracing hands-on learning at its best. Whether it's building with blocks or mixing mud pies or creating a wild new invention out of recyclables, hands-on learning is pure gold. We call it experiential learning by doing. And you know what? Kids remember things best when they have done it themselves. Whether it's planting a garden or building a cardboard castle, hands-on learning is the key. 2, foster imagination, not imitation. You see, unlike animals that can only copy what they see, humans have this unique ability to dream up things that don't even exist. So give your child the space to imagine without telling them what something should be. If they say cloud looks like a dragon, roll with it. Who knows? Maybe it is. 3, get them to use all their senses. Ask your child, what are they touching, smelling, hearing, seeing, and tasting? The more they use their senses, the richer their experience becomes. It's like adding seasoning to a dish. For example, ask things like, what does it feel like? Or what does that smell remind you of? You say kids who engage all their senses have richer experiences and stronger memories. 4, ask open-ended questions. For example, instead of asking, what color is the sky? Try, what else could the sky be? You see, the first question has one answer. Okay, maybe 2. The second question, infinite possibilities. You know, the kind of questions where there are no right answers, like what else could we do with this box? Or how many ways can you make the tower taller? The more you let them think creatively, the more their brains open up to new possibilities. 5, encourage hands-on experimentation. Let your child try different ways of doing things. Don't show them how to do it, but rather let them figure it out. Whether it's stacking blocks or mixing colors, hands-on experimenting builds confidence. Plus, when they succeed, it's like watching their little faces light up with pride. 6, be an observer, not a critic. Listen to a child's ideas without jumping in to correct or judge. Guess what? Mistakes are part of the game. They're part of life. They're part of the process. In fact, in Montessori, we have this idea called the control of error. That's where the child learns to self-correct without adult supervision. Brilliant, right? 7, offer freedom of choice. Let your child decide if they want to sit at a table or spread out on a floor. Do they want to work inside or take their lesson outdoors? Giving them the power to choose boosts their independence and decision-making. 8, practice, practice, practice. Just like learning to ride a bike or play a piano, creativity improves with practice. The more they explore new ideas, the better they get. Make sure the tasks are challenging, but not too hard, that they get frustrated and give up. 9, encourage creative problem solving. When a problem arises, ask your child to think of multiple ways to solve it. You see, this kind of thinking strengthens the ability to shift perspectives and see the world in new ways. It's like flexing a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. 10, let them fail. I know, it sounds tough, but mistakes are where the magic happens. When kids figure things out on their own, they grow in ways we just cannot teach. So why do most of us lose that creative edge as we grow older? Honestly, life. Between schools, schedules, and constant screens, there is not a ton of room for creativity. Rigid routines and too much focus on getting the right answer can squash that natural spark. Also, situations that don't challenge our brains the way they used to. Tell me, when was the last time you were encouraged to daydream at a school or the job? Also, too often we're taught to focus on the right answer and are rewarded for copying, mimicking, and staying within the lines. But here's the thing. Creativity does not thrive in a box. It thrives on open-ended exploration, not perfection. But the great news is that it's not too late, my friend. We can still nurture our kids' creative genius with a few simple tweaks. Give them the freedom to explore, imagine, and fail. Give them the chance to mess up without fear of being wrong or being judged. These are all the ways that can reignite their creativity along the way. And you know what? Give yourself that permission and opportunity too. Who knows? You might just be rediscovering a little of that creative genius you had when you were 5. Thank you for being here, my sweet friend. So hit that subscribe, follow button, whatever you have to do. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. This way, we can spread the magic of early childhood development with the world. Because you know what? Together, we can create a world where children are free to explore, learn, create, and grow to their fullest potential. Until next time, my sweet friend, keep nurturing those little minds and believing in the magic of early childhood. Remember, children are like diamonds in the rough, full of untapped brilliance, just waiting to shine.